Whispered Hub. My name is Rachel. I live in a small village. In my village, few people speak English. But I have a big dream. I want to learn English. I know it will open many doors for me. It will help me meet people from all over the world. One day, I decided it was time. I wanted to make my dream come true. I told my family and friends. They were surprised, but supportive. I started to prepare for my big adventure. I saved money. I read about the big city. I was excited and a bit scared. Finally, the day came. I packed my bag. I said goodbye to my village. I took a long bus ride to the city. The city was big and noisy. It was so different from my village, but I was ready to learn. I found the English Learning Center. It was a friendly place. There were pictures from many countries on the walls. I felt welcome. I met my teacher, Mr. Lee. He was kind and patient. He said, "Learning English will be fun." I also met my classmates. They came from different places. Some were from the city. Some were from other countries. We all wanted to learn English. We were all a bit nervous, but we were in this together. On the first day, Mr. Lee taught us some basic words. Hello, goodbye, please, and thank you. It was hard to say the words right. But Mr. Lee said, "It's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn." After class, I talked to some classmates. There was Anna from Brazil and Juan from Mexico. We decided to be study friends. We wanted to help each other learn. I went home that day, feeling happy. I was starting to learn English. I had new friends. I knew it would be a big challenge, but I was ready. I was going to work hard. I wanted to make my dream come true. My second day in the big city was full of surprises. I woke up early. I was excited and a little scared. Today, I would explore the city. I wanted to use English in real places. First, I went to a cafe. I practiced what I learned. "One coffee, please," I said. The person at the cafe smiled. They gave me coffee. I said, "Thank you." It felt good to use English. Next, I went to a park. The park was big and beautiful. There were flowers and trees. I saw people walking and children playing. I sat on a bench. A lady sat next to me. She had a dog. The dog was small and cute. "Hello," I said to the lady. She said, "Hello," back. We talked a little. I learned her dog's name was Max. Talking was hard, but the lady was nice. She spoke slowly. I understood some words. This made me happy. In the afternoon, I met Anna and Juan. We decided to explore together. We went to a museum. The museum was about art. There were paintings and sculptures. Everything was interesting. We tried to read the information next to the art. The words were difficult, but we helped each other. At the museum, we met a girl. Her name was Lily. She was from the city. She wanted to practice English too. We became friends. Now, we were 4 friends learning English together. After the museum, we were hungry. We went to eat. We went to a small restaurant. The menu was in English. Ordering food was a challenge, but we did it together. We said the names of the foods. The food was delicious. We were proud of ourselves. In the evening, we said goodbye. We were tired, but happy. I learned so much today. I used English in many places. I made a new friend. The city was not so scary anymore. I was ready to learn more English. The next day was special. It was my first real English class. I felt nervous, but excited. Anna, Juan, Lily, and I went to class together. We were ready to learn. Mr. Lee was our teacher. He welcomed us with a big smile. "Today, we learn together," he said. The classroom was full of students. Everyone looked happy, but a bit scared too. First, Mr. Lee taught us greetings. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We practiced these words. We said them to each other. It was fun. It made us laugh. Then, we learned about numbers. Numbers are important. We use them every day. Mr. Lee made learning numbers fun. We played a game. We counted things in the classroom: books, chairs, and pictures. After numbers, we learned about colors. Mr. Lee showed us many colors: red, blue, green, and more. We said the color names. We looked around the room. We found things with those colors. Lunchtime came. We were hungry. We went to the cafe again. This time, we ordered more food. 2 sandwiches, please, I said, and 4 waters. Using English felt easier now. In the afternoon, we learned about families. Mr. Lee asked us about our families. We tried to answer in English. I have 1 brother, Juan said. I have 2 sisters, Anna said. Talking about families was nice. We learned about each other. We also learned to say how we feel. I am happy. I am sad. I am tired. This was useful. We used these sentences a lot. At the end of the day, Mr. Lee said, "Good job." We were happy. We learned so much. English was hard, but we could do it. We felt proud. After class, my friends and I talked about the day. We spoke in English. It was not perfect, but we understood each other. This was a big win for us. I went to bed feeling good. I was learning English. I had new friends. The big city felt like a new home. I was excited for more lessons. I wanted to learn everything. The next week was full of new experiences. Every day, I went to my English class. Mr. Lee taught us more words and phrases. We learned how to say where we were from and how to ask questions. Where's the library? How much is this? Learning these questions felt important. It made me feel more confident in the city. In class, Mr. Lee used pictures and games to teach us. We played a game where we matched words to pictures. It was fun. We laughed a lot. Learning with games made it easier to remember new words. One day, Mr. Lee brought music to class. We listened to songs in English. At first, I didn't understand many words, but the music was beautiful. Mr. Lee showed us the words to the songs. We read them as we listened. This helped us understand the songs better. I started to love English songs. I even started to sing a little. Mr. Lee also told us to watch English movies. He said it was good practice. That night, Anna, Juan, Lily, and I watched a movie together. We chose a simple movie. We used subtitles in our languages. It was hard to understand everything, but we enjoyed the movie. We learned new words. Watching movies became one of our favorite ways to learn. Every day, I also practiced speaking English outside of class. I talked to shopkeepers, bus drivers, and other people I met. Many people were friendly. They helped me when I didn't know the right words. Speaking English with many people helped me get better. Anna, Juan, Lily, and I also started to read English books. We picked short stories and children's books. These books had simple words. They were easier to understand. Reading helped us learn new words. It also helped us see how sentences were put together in English. One day, Mr. Lee asked us to write a short story in English. Writing was hard. I made many mistakes. But Mr. Lee said mistakes were okay. He helped us correct our stories. Writing helped me think in English. I was proud of my story. It was about my first day in the city. At the end of the week, I felt happy. My English was getting better. I could understand more. I could say more. My friends and I helped each other. We were a team. We were excited to learn more English. The city felt like a place where I could grow. My adventure in learning English was just starting. I was ready for more challenges and more fun. The next week was full of learning. Every day I went to the English classes. Mr. Lee was a great teacher. He made every lesson fun and interesting. We learned new words and sentences. We also played games to remember what we learned. In class, we talked a lot. Mr. Lee asked us questions. We tried to answer. Sometimes we made mistakes, but Mr. Lee said, "Mistakes help us learn." This made us feel better. We learned how to say where we are from. "I am from Brazil," Anna would say. "I am from Mexico," Juan would say. And I would say, "I am from a small village." We also learned to talk about our families. I told them, "I have 2 brothers." One day, Mr. Lee brought a radio to class. We listened to English songs. The songs were fast, but we tried to understand. Mr. Lee taught us the words to one song. We sang together. It was funny and a bit hard, but singing helped us remember the words. Mr. Lee also showed us how to use the library. The library had books in English. The books were for beginners like us. We could borrow them to read at home. Reading was hard, but Mr. Lee said, "Try to read a little every day. It will help." Anna, Juan, Lily, and I started to study together after class. We went to the park or the cafe. We talked in English. We helped each other with homework. We also read books and listened to songs. Sometimes we watched English movies. We watched with subtitles first. Then we tried without subtitles. Understanding the movies was difficult, but we learned new words. One day, we decided to make a poster. We drew pictures and wrote new words on the poster. We put the poster in our study place. The poster helped us remember the words. Every day, I felt a little better about speaking English. I still made mistakes, but I was not so scared to speak. My friends helped me. We laughed a lot. Laughing made learning easier. At the end of the week, Mr. Lee said, "You are all doing well. Keep practicing." We were happy. We felt like we were becoming a little bit English speakers. We were excited to learn more. As the weeks went by, my English classes became the best part of my day. I learned so much from Mr. Lee, and even more from talking with my friends. We found that making friends was a key part of learning English. One day, Mr. Lee gave us a special project. "I want you to interview someone from the city in English," he said. This was a big challenge. We had to talk to someone we didn't know. Anna, Juan, Lily, and I decided to work together. We planned to find someone friendly in the park. We went to the park with our questions. We were nervous, but we saw a man walking his dog. We remembered how I met the lady with the small dog, Max. We thought, people with dogs are friendly. So, we went up to him. "Hello, can we talk with you? We are learning English," I said. The man smiled. "Of course," he said. His name was Tom. He was very kind. He answered our questions. We asked about his favorite food, his job, and why he liked the park. Talking to Tom was fun. We learned a lot of new words. We also learned about the city. After the interview, we went to a coffee shop. We talked about how it felt to speak English with Tom. We were proud of ourselves. We had made a new friend in the city. This experience showed us the power of friendship in learning. We started to talk with more people. We talked to shopkeepers, library workers, and other students. With every conversation, our English got better. Our group of friends grew. We met more students from the English class. We also met people who wanted to learn other languages. I started teaching some words from my village's language. It was fun to share my culture. We created a language exchange group. Once a week, we met to teach each other our languages. These meetings were full of laughter and learning. We became a big group of friends from different parts of the world. Our friendship made the big city feel like home. Learning English was not just about classes and homework. It was about the people we met and the friendships we made. My friends and I learned that, together, we could overcome any challenge. And with every new friend, we learned more than just words. We learned about life, cultures, and the joy of discovery. Every day in the big city brought new ways to practice English. My friends and I learned that using English outside class was very important. We found fun in our daily practice. Here's how we did it. One morning, Anna suggested, "Let's only speak English today." We agreed. This was our English day. It was a challenge, but it was also exciting. We started at breakfast. We ordered our food in English. We talked about the weather and our plans. Sometimes we didn't know the right words. We laughed and helped each other. After breakfast, we went to the market. The market was busy and colorful. We saw fruits, vegetables, and flowers. We talked to the sellers in English. We asked about their products. "How much is this? Where do these apples come from?" The sellers were patient. They answered our questions. This helped our listening skills. In the afternoon, we went to a library event. The event was for people learning English. There were games and activities. We played a game called Find Someone Who. We had to find people who had done certain things. Find someone who has visited the beach this year. This game made us talk to many people. We asked questions and listened to their stories. It was fun and educational. Later, we wrote postcards in English. We wrote to our families and friends back home. Writing the postcards made us think about how to say things correctly. It was good practice for writing skills. In the evening, we cooked dinner together. We used an English recipe. The recipe had some difficult words. We looked them up in a dictionary. Cooking helped us learn new words about food and cooking. The dinner was delicious. We were proud of our cooking and our English. Before going to bed, we talked about our English day. We shared what was hard and what was fun. We realized we had used English all day. We had spoken, listened, read, and written in English. We felt happy and tired. Our English day was a success. Doing everyday things in English was very helpful. It made us use English in real situations. We learned that practice is not just homework. Practice is speaking, listening, reading, and writing in real life. Every day gave us a chance to get better. My friends and I decided to have an English day every week. We looked forward to these days. They were our favorite days. We learned a lot and had fun together. With our confidence growing, my friends and I decided to explore more of the city. Each trip was an opportunity to practice English and learn about the culture around us. We made a list of places we wanted to visit: museums, parks, historical sites, and popular neighborhoods. Our first adventure was to a famous museum in the city. Before going, we researched the museum in English. We learned about its history and the exhibitions. At the museum, we read the descriptions next to the exhibits. Some words were difficult, but we helped each other understand. We also asked questions to the museum staff. They were happy to explain things to us. This visit improved our vocabulary and listening skills. Next, we went to a big park in the city center. The park was beautiful, with lots of trees and flowers. People were walking their dogs, playing games, and enjoying picnics. We joined a group playing frisbee. They taught us how to play. Playing frisbee was fun, and we made some new friends. We talked and laughed a lot. It was a great way to practice casual English conversation. One weekend, we took a guided tour of the city's historical district. The tour was in English. Listening to the guide was challenging, but we learned a lot about the city's history and architecture. After the tour, we discussed what we learned. This helped us remember new words and facts. Exploring the city, we also discovered a market known for international foods. Each stall had different foods from around the world. We talked to the vendors in English, asking about their foods. We tried dishes from countries we had never visited. Talking about food was a delicious way to learn new words. Our adventures were not always easy. Sometimes we got lost. Sometimes people spoke too fast for us to understand. But every challenge was a learning opportunity. We learned to ask for directions, to clarify when we didn't understand, and to keep trying even when it was hard. One of the most memorable experiences was attending a local music festival. The festival featured bands from different countries. The music was incredible. Between performances, we chatted with other festival goers. We talked about our favorite bands and songs. Music was a universal language, but we also practiced our English. Through these adventures, the city became our classroom. We learned English not just from books and lessons, but from the people and places around us. Each day was an adventure, filled with new words, experiences, and friendships. Our explorations showed us that learning English was more than just studying. It was about connecting with the world. With each new word we learned, we felt more a part of the city and more confident in our ability to communicate. As our journey with English continued, we started to look for more creative ways to learn. Our teacher, Mr. Lee, always encouraged us to find methods that worked best for us. He said, "Learning is personal. Find what you enjoy and use it to learn." Inspired by his words, we began experimenting with different learning strategies. One method we discovered was using technology to aid our learning. We found apps that were designed for English learners. These apps had games, quizzes, and stories in English. They made learning fun and interactive. We could use them anytime, anywhere. It was like having a teacher in our pocket. We also started to use social media to learn English. We followed English learning pages and joined language exchange groups. These platforms allowed us to connect with other learners and native speakers. We could ask questions, share our experiences, and practice English by commenting on posts. Social media made learning more social and connected. Another exciting discovery was podcasts in English. We found podcasts on topics we were interested in, like music, history, and science. Listening to podcasts improved our listening skills. We learned new vocabulary and phrases. At first, understanding everything was difficult, but over time, our ears got used to the rhythm and sounds of English. We also explored the world of English books. We started with simple children's books and gradually moved to novels and nonfiction. Reading books was challenging, but it was also rewarding. We learned new words in context, which helped us remember them better. Discussing the books with each other was like having our own English book club. One of the most fun methods we tried was cooking with English recipes. This activity combined learning with something we all enjoyed: food. We had to read the recipes in English, which taught us food-related vocabulary and instructions. Cooking together and sharing our dishes was a delicious way to learn. We didn't forget about the traditional methods, though. We kept practicing speaking, listening, reading, and writing in more structured ways. But adding these new methods made learning English more varied and interesting. It kept our motivation high and our curiosity alive. Mr. Lee was impressed with our initiative. He said, "You're not just learning English, you're living it." His praise made us feel proud of our progress. Through discovering these new methods, we learned that there isn't just one way to learn a language. It's about mixing different activities and finding joy in the process. Our adventure with English became more than just a mission to learn. It became a journey of discovery and fun. Months had passed since we first started our English learning journey in the big city. Our daily lives had become a blend of classes, practice, and adventures. It was in this period of intense learning and growing that we reached our first major milestone. Our English class was preparing for a special event. Mr. Lee called it the English Showcase. Each student was to participate in some way, using English to share something personal or something learned. The idea was both exciting and nerve-wracking. It was a chance to demonstrate how much we had improved, but the thought of speaking in front of others was daunting. As the event approached, my friends and I brainstormed what we could do. We wanted our presentation to reflect our journey and the diverse ways we had learned English. After much discussion, we decided on a multi-part presentation. It would include a short play, a digital slideshow of our city adventures, and a few songs in English that we had learned together. Preparing for the showcase was a learning experience in itself. We wrote the script for our play in English, which required us to use all the vocabulary and grammar we had learned. The slideshow needed captions, forcing us to be concise and clear in our writing. Choosing songs and practicing them improved our pronunciation and listening skills. The day of the English Showcase arrived, and the classroom was transformed into a small theater. Students, families, and friends were invited, and there was a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. When it was our turn, we took a deep breath and started. Our play was simple, but funny. A story about 4 friends from different parts of the world trying to navigate life in the big city. The audience laughed and clapped, encouraging us. The slideshow was next, with photos of our explorations and the new words we had learned at each place. Finally, we sang. Our voices were not perfect, but we sang with confidence and joy. The applause at the end filled us with pride. Mr. Lee came to congratulate us, saying, "You've not only learned English, you've lived it and shared it. Well done." The English Showcase was a turning point for us. It was proof of how far we had come from those first uncertain days in the city. We had faced our fears, embraced challenges, and found creative ways to learn and grow. Our presentation was more than just a project. It was a celebration of our journey, our friendship, and our achievements. As we reflected on the event, we realized that this milestone was just the beginning. There was so much more to learn and explore. But now, we had confidence in our ability to use English, to connect with others, and to take on whatever came next. After the excitement of the English Showcase, we faced new challenges. The initial thrill of learning English had been replaced by the realization that mastering a language is a long journey with ups and downs. We encountered difficulties that tested our resolve and made us question our progress. One challenge was hitting a plateau. After months of rapid improvement, our progress seemed to slow down. It became harder to notice significant advances in our abilities. This was frustrating. We wondered if we were still improving, or if we had reached our limits. Anna struggled with writing. Despite practicing every day, she felt her writing wasn't getting any better. She found it hard to structure her thoughts in English, and this made her anxious about future exams. Juan faced difficulties with pronunciation. Certain English sounds were difficult for him to make, and he sometimes felt embarrassed when speaking in class or with native speakers. This affected his confidence and made him hesitant to participate in conversations. Lily had trouble understanding fast, natural speech. Watching movies or listening to people in busy environments was overwhelming for her. She felt left behind, as if her listening skills would never catch up with those of her peers. As for me, I found idiomatic expressions and slang confusing. People used phrases that didn't make sense when translated literally, and this often left me puzzled during conversations. Despite these challenges, we didn't give up. We turned to Mr. Lee for advice, and he reminded us that these feelings were normal. Learning is not a straight line, he said. It's full of peaks and valleys. The key is to keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow. We took his words to heart and looked for ways to overcome our challenges. Anna started a blog in English, writing about her life and experiences. This helped her practice writing in a more relaxed and personal way, gradually improving her skills. Juan worked with a pronunciation coach he found online. The coach helped him with exercises specifically designed to tackle the sounds he found difficult. Juan also practiced by mimicking actors in English TV shows, improving his pronunciation and regaining his confidence. Lily began using English subtitles on movies and TV shows to bridge the gap between reading and listening. She also started listening to English podcasts designed for learners, which use slower speech and clearer pronunciation. Over time, her listening skills improved. I tackled idiomatic expressions by keeping a diary of phrases I encountered, researching their meanings, and trying to use them in conversations. This made me more comfortable with the informal aspects of the language. We supported each other through these challenges, sharing our frustrations and successes. Our friendship became stronger, and we learned that overcoming obstacles was a part of the learning process. These experiences taught us resilience, the importance of patience, and the value of persistent effort. After the excitement of the English showcase, we faced new challenges. Learning English, like any journey, had its ups and downs. We learned this the hard way when we encountered obstacles that tested our resolve and our progress. One of the first challenges came when Anna received news from home that required her immediate attention. She had to leave the city for a while. It was a reminder of how life's unexpected turns could impact our plans and dreams. We promised to keep in touch and continue practicing English together online, but it wasn't the same without her. Then, there was the challenge of keeping up with our English outside the supportive environment of our classes and group. With our course coming to an end, we had to find new ways to immerse ourselves in the language. It was daunting to think about maintaining our progress on our own. I also faced personal challenges. There were days when I doubted my abilities, especially when I encountered complex English phrases or idioms that made me feel lost. I remembered the early days when everything about the city and the language felt overwhelming. It was disheartening to feel that uncertainty again. Despite these challenges, we didn't give up. We tackled each obstacle with the resilience we had built over our months of learning. When Anna left, we used video calls and messages to practice English, sharing our daily experiences and new words we learned. It kept our bond strong and our English improving. To continue our immersion in English, we sought out new experiences in the city. We volunteered at local events, which not only gave us a chance to use English in different contexts, but also to give back to the community that had become our home. We joined language meetups and cultural exchange clubs, expanding our social circle and learning environments. My personal doubts and struggles with English became less intimidating as I shared them with my friends. They reminded me of how far we had come and encouraged me to keep going. We set new goals, like reading more complex books in English and even trying our hand at writing short stories. These challenges taught us valuable lessons. We learned that progress is not always linear. There are peaks and valleys in any journey, but each step, forward or backward, is part of the learning process. We became more independent in our learning, finding our paths while supporting each other. Facing these challenges together strengthened our resolve and our friendship. We realized that the journey to learn English was about more than just mastering a language. It was about overcoming obstacles, growing as individuals, and forging deep connections with those around us. As our time in the city and our formal English classes came to an end, we began to reflect on our journey and look ahead to the future. It was a bittersweet moment. We had grown so much, not just in our ability to speak English, but also as individuals. The city had become more than a place to learn. It had become our home, and our friends had become our family. During one of our last gatherings, we decided to create a time capsule. We each wrote a letter to our future selves, describing our hopes, our fears, and our dreams. We included photos of our group, our favorite English book, and the poster with new words we had created. We buried the capsule in the park where we had spent so much time talking and laughing together. It was a promise to remember this chapter of our lives and the journey we had shared. Anna returned just in time to join us for the farewell. Her presence made the circle complete again. We talked about our plans for the future. Anna wanted to start an English club in her hometown. Juan was planning to travel to English-speaking countries to continue his immersion. Lily had decided to pursue further studies in English literature. As for me, I dreamed of teaching English to others one day, sharing the gift that had so transformed my life. On our last day in the city, we visited all our favorite places. We went to the cafe where we had our first English conversation, the museum where we had learned so much, and the library that had provided us with endless resources. At each place, we left a small note written in English, expressing our gratitude. Saying goodbye was hard. We hugged, promised to stay in touch, and shed a few tears. But we also smiled, knowing that this was not the end of our journey. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. We had the tools and the confidence to face whatever came our way. English was no longer just a language we were learning. It had become a bridge to the world, to new adventures, and to fulfilling our dreams. As I left the city, I looked back at the skyline one last time. I thought about the girl who had arrived here, full of hopes and fears. I was not that girl anymore. I was stronger, braver, and ready for the future. I whispered thank you to the city, to my friends, and to everyone who had been a part of my journey. Then I turned towards the road ahead, excited for the next adventure. The voiceover in this video is done by Whispered Hub. Copying or reusing the content is completely prohibited.